In this video, I'm going to be showing you the steps that I take in order to give my client a medium taper. But first, I want to show you fresh out the box the T45, Tune 45, and Barber clippers and trimmers. First time ever using them. Stick around so that you do not miss the final results as well as my real, raw, and uncut opinion on these brand new clippers. To kick this haircut off, I'm going to start in by going in with my number 4 guard, and I just want to debulk the curls and keep the darkness at the top, but I want to set this area up so that I can go in and start doing my taper work. And so I'm using the heel of the blade and just riding off the shape of his parietal ridge area and just going up into those curls. Actually, these clippers have different speeds, if you did not know that, and I was actually impressed with how they were cutting through the bulk without snagging at all. Now that I got the bulk out of there, I want to go in with the lever completely closed, and I'm going up around just about the top of where the ear connects to the head and about the bottom of the eyebrow and setting my guideline there. Now I'm going in with the lever completely open, going up about a full inch just to give myself room to blend this taper in. Then to follow up under that, I'm just going to bald it out completely with the trimmers. In that area, I just want to go very light and stay up under the first initial guideline without pushing that line up too high. Now I'm going to follow up with the shaver to get it completely bald. My next step is to go in with the number 1 guard with the lever open and then work it closed as I get to the top of the beard. And while I still have the 1 guard on, I'm going to go up into the taper and do the same exact steps. Using the 1 guard, going up about a full inch. Here I'm going in with the number 3 guard, just tying everything into the 4. Then I'm gonna work my way back down to the 2 guard. Again, just taking out the bulk and maintaining the darkness, as well as setting myself up to blend this taper in. And I'm gonna follow up with my 1 guard with the lever completely open, and just keep following me because I'm gonna take my shears out and debulk a lot of that bulk at the top where you can see it's a disconnect. I'm gonna create a transition from the fade into the actual hairstyle on top. As you can see, I angle my comb with the bottom of the blade at the scalp, and I'm angling out as I go up and just snipping the bulk slowly but surely. I don't want to take off too much or make it too thin, and so I'm just slowly just doing this. If you don't have experience with this, there's no rush. Slowly but surely take out the bulk, just because you don't want to run the risk of taking it too thin and creating a patch and or taking away from the blend. And to follow up, I'm using the corner of the blade or the edge of the blade, staying on the last 3 to 4 teeth, just using my 0 guard or 0.5 guard, detailing the darker spots at the bottom of that taper before I go in and work the lever with no guard at all. Here I'm going in with the lever halfway, just nudging at that very bottom line, erasing the dark spots that I could not get out with the half guard. And slowly but surely, as you can see, the taper's coming out, the lines are coming out, and the taper's coming together. And what you want to do is, as you go up higher in your fade or your taper, as you can see, I'm using the lever completely open. And as I go lower, I'm closing the lever up fully just so that I can take off more at the bottom and take off less as I go up, so I don't run the risk of pushing this fade up too high. Or this taper, excuse me. I refer to most of them as fades just because a fade in my eyes is just a blend. But if you are new, this is a taper, medium taper to be exact. Here, as you can see, I'm using detail work just to taper out or blend out the top of the beard with a very light touch. Here on this side, I'm going in with the same exact guard, the 4 guard, and I'm doing the same exact steps. I'm debulking those curls, going in using the heel of the blade and going off the shape of his head. As I'm going to the top of that taper, I'm lifting off of his head and coming out in a scoop out motion just so that I can keep the formality of the taper itself and make sure that it's blending soft without going into the hairstyle. I don't want to go up and dig in. I just want to ride off the actual shape and keep the gradiency as well as the darkness on top. But I also want to get the taper section as close as possible, so I'm going to use the heel of the blade. And here I'm going to drop down and set in my bald line again at the end of the eyebrow and at the top where the ear meets the head, and I'm going to set up enough space in between these two tapers just so that I can have room to come back and bald it out completely, as well as taper in the top of the beard and allow my taper itself to stand out and give myself room to set up for a gradient taper. Here I'm going in with the lever completely open, again balding it out completely with the trimmers, understanding that I do not want to go into the actual first initial guideline that I set in. And here I'm just using a flick out motion, because when I set these guidelines, and I want them to be soft enough to come back and erase them as well. I don't want to set in too harsh of a guideline. And as you can see, while I still have that guard on, I'm using it for the bottom just as well as the top, only to create efficiency in my chair and make sure that I'm on time for my next client. Do not get me wrong, I'm still having great conversation and interaction with this client. However, I do want to be able to keep my schedule and stay on time for the next person in line, just so that I can maintain consistency throughout my schedule, as well as keep my clients aware that I am respectful of their time, as well as I would appreciate it if they would do the same for mine, just so that we can create a consistent flow and efficiency in your schedule. I don't just want to teach haircuts, I want to teach barbers how to become better in the shop and be able to help you in your career as being a barber. And with doing so, you got to understand that if you're not busy now, you will get busy. But also, when you do get busy, you got to understand how to operate and move through the busy times and be able to still create structure so that you are able to sustain busy as well as scale busy. And so with doing so, you got to create systems in order to help you. So this same exact system that I use on every other texture, I'm doing the same exact steps. As much as it may sound cliche, consistency is very important in this industry, because it allows you to keep putting up reps and get real life data, real life feedback of what's working and what's not, so that you can go back and tweak whatever you need to in order to make it better. But it also allows you to build a consistent clientele in the process of doing so. What I'm not telling you to do is to do the bare minimum and expect to sustain a large clientele with little to no effort. You do have to give effort and give your all with everything that you do touch. And so I advise that you do strive to do so. But however, know and understand that when you create inconsistencies in your schedule, you allow your clients to control your schedule, as well as open the door or invite them to adapt a bad habit of inconsistency in general, and creates overall fragile foundation for your business. Here I'm going in, again playing with the lever. I'm starting open at the top of this line, and then I'm going to work my way closed as needed. Same exact steps here with the beard. As you can see, that taper's starting to blend out. And as for the clippers, as you can see, the battery life's holding up. I usually use the Andes Masters and the Stylecraft Instinct X. However, I would say these clippers are a little heavier than the Stylecraft and a little lighter than the Andes Master. So it's just about in between. I think ergonomically it's inclined. It's very comfortable, I would say. It's not heavy at all, but it's not the lightest clipper. I think it's not the biggest clipper either. It's pretty much a good fit for my hand, as well as a comfortable fit. As you can see, I got the other speed on. I feel like it works well with the debulking. As you can see right here, no snagging at all. It just easily glides through and cut all that hair. You can hear it cutting. The lever, I would say, is comfortable, just because the ergonomics of the lever, the way it's built, your finger easily fits into it. I like the guard system. For one, my favorite color is green, so I like this whole color scheme. Also, the guards, they're not the biggest or bulkiest. It actually feels like a actual attachment that's small, but it gets the job done. It does what it needs to do, but it's like it's compact with the clipper, if that makes sense. It's not sticking out way too much, and I could appreciate that. Here I'm going in with the lever completely closed, setting in my first guideline, and now I'm going in open. Setting in my next guideline, I want to go in another full inch up, just to give myself room to blend this taper out and come back and erase this line, as well as create a smooth transition. Now I'm going in with the lever completely closed with the one guard. That's my next step. I want to go up the same exact width, about a finger's width or a full inch, just to give myself enough space, as well as creating that that gradient effect. Now I'm gonna go in with my number 3 guard, and what I'm gonna do is start transitioning from that 4 into the 3 and work my way back down. So now I'm going 3 and I'm working into that bulk, but keeping that darkness as well as taking out as much as possible. Here I'm going back down to my 1.5 guard. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to do so and turn on that post notification bell so that you be notified whenever the next video drops. I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I would like for you to help me on this journey as well as allow me to grow with you as we grow together and continue to grow this channel so that these videos could be pushed out into the algorithm so that everybody could see and learn from everything that's going on. Also, feel free to use the comment section below to add value or give feedback. Now I want to go in with the number 1 guard with the lever halfway, and I'm just nudging at that middle line, erasing that out as much as I can before I go down to my 0.5 or my 0 guard. I want to maintain the darkness again at the top as well as using the corner of the blade to detail that darkness out. Notice how I focus on the hair growth pattern and the direction that the hair is actually growing so that I could be sure to hit it completely against the grain. And as you can see on this side, the hair is growing to the right, so I'm hitting it to the left just to make sure that it's actually getting to that true desired length. This is the 0 guard with the lever completely closed. I'm using the edge of the blade, or most of the pressure is on one side of the blade, so that I'm erasing little by little and not taking this fade up too high. Same exact steps here. On the other side, the hair is growing the opposite way, and so I'm being sure to make sure that I'm hitting it exactly the opposite of that to maintain consistency throughout this taper. In life, understanding that burnout is a thing, you gotta understand that giving up is not an option. If you're in barbering just for some money or a quick side hustle, with everything else in life, you also gotta understand that at some point you gotta have some type of focal point in order to continue to grow, because you gotta see where you are in order to know where you're going and how you can get there, because there's a gap in between. And so measuring things out is important just so that you can have some type of understanding of where you are from where you were and where you're looking to go. In order to have anything to measure, you have to put in reps so that you have some type of data to look at, but you can't forget to go back and reanalyze and revisit the data that you've accumulated in order to be able to grow from where you was into where you're going and close that gap. Burnout only comes in from doing things and putting in effort and not getting the results that you're looking for over a period of time. And so if you feel like you're putting in the same amount of effort and not getting results, you have to understand that it's time to go back and review and reanalyze what it is that you're doing so that you can do things a little different and or do more than what you have been doing. And so you got to be able to measure where you are now in order to get ahead or get to where you want to be to achieve your goals. You have to be able to understand that all of this data that you have collected, you need to go revisit it. As you can see, I punched in the nape line just so that I can give myself a reference to where to put in the arch at the top of the ear and keep it natural but sharp as possible so that I can go in and connect the back of the beard. Honestly, the trimmers aren't the sharpest out the box, but they do have crunch, if that makes sense. I have used sharpened trimmers before, so I use the Cocoa trimmers, which have been sharpened in digital gap. And so I've had trimmers sharper than this before by experience. However, they still do the job and it don't irritate the client's skin. And as you can see, it's still putting in sharp lines. Ergonomically, I could appreciate that the blade is the way that it is. I will say it would take some getting used to. However, overall in your hand, it just feels good. It feels light and it feels easy to maneuver. As you can see, the blade exposure is perfect, actually, just to be able to see what you're doing as well as having a comfortable grip. I think it's perfect. Overall, no snagging at all. Here I'm doing the same exact thing. I just want to solidify that line down the back of the neck or the nape area just to solidify that neck taper. And as you can see, it's popping out way more, 10 times better. As you can see, this is pressure. This pressure right here, and I'm taking my time. Again, hit the back of the beard, solidifying the lines before I go in and connect the dots with the arch at the top of the ear. Starting with my C cup, I want to work my way in. I want to start at the top, and then at the bottom, I'm going to find the darkest point and connect it in between and meet in the middle. Connecting it to the beard as well, keeping that in mind. Taking a 4 guard here, just debulking or taking down the beard to a lower length. As you can see, that's clean. That's clean, that's pressure. That's clean, that's clean, that's clean. 1.5 guard here on the mustache. Reference points with the beard, and I'm connecting it. As you can see, it's exposing the inconsistencies in the taper in the beard, and I'm gonna go back and clean that up. When doing the beard, you just want to stretch the skin, angle the razor at a 45-degree angle, and pull back to the highest point. That's pressure. As you can see how these trimmers is working, they just slicing and dicing through this beard, creating sharp lines, efficiency, as well as no snagging with the neck hairs. And so I'm just appreciative. And they also come with wireless charging. I'm not sure if you noticed that. To get it close as possible, I'm gonna go in with the shaver follow up just to get it as bald as possible. If you stuck around this far, it's been an honor, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to not only the finishing product, but also another dope video. I appreciate you for watching. My name is Kel, and I'll catch you in the next video. As always, average accepts mediocrity, and discipline creates difference.